Hello, friends. How are you today? Well, today I have a spiritual teaching for you, one that can elevate your life, really free up your energy. And for me, this changed the direction of my life and gave me the freedom to step forward free of things that were holding me back and holding me down that were all of my own making. I just didn't realize it. I just didn't realize it before I went through a process. And that process was elevating forgiveness, changing the way I approached previous interactions that I'd had with others. So doing this process elevates one's life. It gives you a freedom. It just so much of the energy that feels low and down in your field that relates to holding energy against others, where someone's wronged us, someone did something bad to us, someone didn't meet our expectations, and so on and so on. When we carry this around with us through our life, which we can carry it for years, we can carry it for decades, people carry it for their entire lifetime. There's people who finally, at their deathbed, let something go, and there's people who hold it longer than that. So there's a way to free ourselves from this energetic detritus, from these ties that bind. And I'm going to give you a highlight of that. I will be teaching a course on it this week on Thursday, August 11th. This is going to be my first independent, it'll be at least 2 hours course. It'll go longer if we have enough people and there's enough participants. But as long as I get 2 people in this class, I'm going to do it on Thursday, August 11th, which is also the date of the full moon. So if you are ready to let something go, it is the full moon. It's a great time to just complete things, complete projects, complete processes. And I'm going to offer this up. It's a full moon. We're in the sign of Leo still. We're at the Lionsgate energies this week. Let's move forward and get it done. Because if you free yourself up of these old attachments, if you learn how to do that, then you get greater access to your own soul. You get greater access to these amazing energies that are flowing this week from the Earth conjunction with the galactic center. These energies last for some period of time. They last for weeks before and after. But it's our ability to have the room to receive from within ourselves, right? What God wishes for us. If we're already full, then what we're asking for, what we're wishing for, what we're working on, there's not room, right? If we are full of the old. So let's clear that out, make room for the new. Join me on Thursday if you would like to do this. And what we'll do is I'll give a lecture, and then we will do one-on-one participation. So ping me. I'm going to give you the link to my contact page on my blog. Ping me and let me know if you'd like to do this. It will be $40 for this class, and you will get one-on-one time with me during the class time. The class will be recorded, and I'm going to do it, I'd like to do it at 5 p.m. Pacific time, but if the day works for you but the time doesn't, let me know. If you could do it at 8 a.m. Pacific time, if you could do it at noon Pacific time, and then where I get the most people is what time I will hold the class. So looking forward to doing this with you. If you are one of the brave souls that would like to walk on this journey with me. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to do an overview of this concept of forgiveness by talking about justice. In our society, we have the concept of justice as being the weighing of the scales, and that when the scales weigh evenly, that justice has been served. And here they are, the evenly weighed scales, right? They are equal, equidistant, same level, and all is well in the world, or so we think. The interesting thing about the concept of justice was that the scales and the weighing of scales ties back to the ancient Egyptian concept of the weighing of souls before death. What was said was that souls were weighed, and the ones that were heavy did not proceed to the afterlife, and the ones that were light as a feather proceeded. What does this mean? The first thing is that concepts have been distorted over time, and our language has been narrowed greatly. So we need to unpack these concepts to understand what we're truly talking about here. When we talk about the soul, when we talk about forgiveness, when we talk about justice, and when we talk about what is our highest outcome. It's interesting because the soul is eternal. So let's address this first. The eternal soul, the aspect, the living light of God, the creator of all that is, that we are, is always light as a feather. It exists forever and ever. It's eternal. It's a part of the living flame of creation of the creator. The pure, unconditional love that is you, the essence of you, in your unique form as a living soul. And that is what incarnates into the human body. So how can the soul be weighed down and then need to become light as a feather when it's of the creator itself? And it always is light as a feather in essence. It can never be changed from the perfection that it is, can it? This is a concept that needs to be sussed out a little bit. It could be confusing because we're using the word soul to indicate what is in the body, to indicate the experience in the body, and then to indicate the pure divinity of all that is, of which we are an integral part. Each one of these is called soul. Whether it's by accident or on purpose, we don't know anymore. All of that is in the dustbin of history. But what we know is that we've been left with a language that obfuscates terms that relate to our relationship with divinity. I assert to you that we can use descriptors to differentiate between these three levels of soul. The detritus of human experience would be the heavy-weighted, quote, soul, unquote. The human experience healed and whole would be the soul light as a feather. The soul eternal, an aspect of the Creator itself, is the divinity that we truly are in human form. The clarity that this differentiation brings is incredible, isn't it? We are all of these things throughout our human lifetime. I'm so grateful for my experience of learning to connect with soul and the communication with divinity through me that has helped me to come to understand these things. Because truly, when you ask, when you desire to connect with God, with the Creator of all that is, with the soul that you truly are, all of these things are possible. It's possible to connect. It's possible to understand that we are a soul that has had human experience that results in detritus. What is detritus? What I would say is that's a density of energy in the body and energy field that is a result of painful experiences. It's a result of also just living life. It's a part of simply being as a human being. This is what life is about. This is what happens. We have experiences, and we can judge ourselves for these experiences, or we can see them as I believe the Creator sees us, as living souls in human form, trying things out, right? Learning, being together, and seeing what that's like. So the heaviness that we experience in the body and energy field can be released and let go. Healed, if you will. We always think of healing as being, a body gets physically sick. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a spiritual healing here, an energetic healing, okay? An energetic in the body and energy field where we recover our own self, where we free ourselves from the detritus of past experiences. And we can do this while we are alive and then live light as a feather. See, this is something that wasn't part of that Egyptian story, right? And it's not really part of our story of justice in this life either, because in the scales of justice, here is the interesting conundrum. Whether the scales are evenly balanced with a feather, or whether the scales are evenly balanced by the weight of experience, technically, there is justice. And this is a disconnect in our human concept of justice. It's what my dear friend Alex would call a hack. Now, it's interesting because I've talked with her a lot about justice and divine justice, and one day she said to me, Susan, justice is a hack. And then that got me thinking, and it got me to hear, no matter whether the balance is, quote, bad or, quote, good, just it being balanced, the energy, the weight being balanced, is considered justice. And this is a concept that isn't really so. It's what I would call it an alien concept. It's a sleight of hand. It's a trickery. Isn't that fascinating? So let's go back and look at the meaning. Rather than focusing on the scales balancing in the outer world, we can focus on the divinity of justice herself. You see, the reason justice is so often portrayed as gold with a crown is to communicate the divinity inherent in life, in the wisdom required to assess human affairs. The reason that justice is shown with a sword is, first of all, the sword mimics the cross. The cross with the downward point lengthened shows divinity reaching into the human world to incarnate. Justice is said to be blind because she is accessing the divinity within, the wisdom that divinity holds, to make an assessment. The sword points to the soul, the sword of light, echoes the process of the soul incarnate into human form, extending from the divine realm to be present in physical organic matter, in the physical body. The soul is the living light of God, the Creator, the light that we are. As we have human experience, things can happen that we say weight our soul. It's this detritus that we can learn to remove, to be happy, healthy, and whole once again in living form. While you are alive, you can reclaim the purity of your own soul. That process, in one very important category, is given the word forgiveness. Concepts of forgiveness usually involve the idea of justice at a base level, that outcomes become equal, become weighted equal, when the fact is that the outcomes, when left to divinity, may or may not look equal in the human world. And if we focus on this, we can get a situation where both outcomes are bad, but they're weighted equally, or both outcomes are good, but they're weighted equally. Elevating forgiveness allows us to let go of all of that. We give over the concept of justice to God, to our own soul, to the light that we are, to the essence of the Creator. And if you are willing to consider that, join me on this journey. I'm offering a class on upgrading forgiveness. And wait until you see what this process can do for you.